Hello, friends! Happy New Year! Merry 2025 to you. I'm TC, and I am here to rank the games that I played in 2024. There are quite a few, so grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a beverage, and let's jump in. Just a few things to clarify. These are not in chronological order, they're in alphabetical order because I jump about between different games all throughout the year, so there's no point even trying to put them in chronological order. Second point, they are not all games that I've finished. I don't finish a lot of games. I finished 22 games in 2024. You'll see there are a lot more games on this list. These are all just games that I have picked up, had a go with, played loads of, played hardly anything of, played with other people. They're all just games that I've played, really. It's pretty simple. And thirdly, these are only my opinions. Your opinions may vary, your mileage may vary. It's not a test of how good the games are, it's just whether I had a good time with them or not. With all that said, shall we jump in with, it's not even the letter A, it's a game that starts with a number, because numbers rank before letters in alphabets. That's apparently how that works. I wanted to put all these into nice, neat rectangle title art shapes, but there are so many of them that it would fill the screen too quickly. So I've had to put them in these little bubbles. Circles are very pleasing to look at, so why should we not do that? First up, this is 12 Labours, The Trials of Hercules, number 5 of a series which numbers 17 items at the minute. I've played 1 to 4, randomly jumped into playing 5 towards the end of the year in December. I even actually streamed a bit of it on Twitch, which was weirdly fun. Possibly not so much fun for the viewers, not sure. You get very dragged into it mentally. It's a kind of worker placement time management game. I don't know what the genre for that is really called. I'm going to put this in, yeah, a good time, because it is a good time. I feel weirdly relaxed when I play these games, these kind of resource games. Even though they're against the clock, which usually stresses me out, I find these weirdly relaxing. I don't know why. But yeah, it's a good time. A little to the left. I want to love this game. I really do. This should be so my jam. It's untrue. I love taking, the chaos drawer that you have in the house somewhere. I like sorting things. It's very satisfying, isn't it? To sort things into categories, to bring order to chaos. We all kind of like that to a certain extent. Before it came out, I was over the moon that there was a game coming out like this. I can't remember exactly when it came out, but I've been playing it on Game Pass. I used it for achievements quite a lot. I do a lot of daily rewards. You'll hear me mention Microsoft rewards quite often. These are where you earn points, which you can then turn into basically free Game Pass, which is how I get Game Pass. I've got so many months ahead of me lined up of free Game Pass already that I'm never going to need to pay for it. And yeah, I wanted to love a little to the left. Initially I did, and then it just kind of got a bit samey, but also a lot of the puzzles just didn't seem logical. It wasn't about tidying and organizing. It was about finding what the game very specifically wanted from you, and it was not necessarily always how I would have done something. So it became a bit of a slog. I did finish it. I did get all the way to the end. I haven't got all the achievements, and I am still doing the daily puzzles to try and get 100 daily puzzles solved, because that in itself is an achievement. Pleasant enough, I guess. Had such potential, and then I just didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped that I would. Next up, we have Adios. Adios, goodbye, in Italian. This was a Games with Gold freebie that I got. Basically, a story about a man who runs a pig farm, who disposes of bodies for the mafia, who wants to stop doing that. You go through the last days of his story. Don't think it's a spoiler. Making decisions, doing sort of very vague mini. It was all right. I like narrative games, don't get me wrong. Stories and stuff are kind of my jam. The story didn't really compel me that much. And yeah, I did do it for the Chivos. You'll see that these have got individual names. I probably should have said that at the start, shouldn't I? Let's just run through them. So in case you can't read them because the text is too small. We've got my personal Hall of Fame. This is going to be a God tier. Has a place in my heart. That's kind of like a 5 out of 5 stars rating. Yeah, good time. It was a good time. Pleasant enough, I guess. Not for me. And then literally only did it for the Chivos. There'll be quite a few of those in here. Some of them you may remember if you come to my Twitch streams, because some of them I have inflicted on my Twitch viewers. Animal Crossing New Horizons. I was one of the people that played this to death during the pandemic, bought in the pandemic, played it to death during the pandemic. I've got like nearly 600 hours logged in this game. Put it down probably a year ago, just sort of tapered off. It happens with these sort of games. Was doing other things. I started a new job this year, and that sort of interfered a bit. And then autumn came, and I started thinking, the island is really nice in autumn. I kind of want to just go back and have a look at it. So I went back and had a look at it, and then immediately had a bunch of ideas, stuff that I wanted to flatten and terraform and reform as something else. I jumped in and I did that, and I spent a whole bunch of time doing that, and then I haven't touched it again since. I didn't go on it during winter at all. Haven't seen the snow. I didn't even see it actually fully turn into autumn, to be honest. It was kind of a very intense couple of weeks, and then I just didn't go back to it. I will go back to it because I know I will always go back to it as and when I feel like I want to, because the island is always there for you, you know. It very much has a place in my heart. It isn't in my personal Hall of Fame. If you'd asked me in 2020, 2021, probably 2022, it would have been at this stage, because I don't go on it that often, I've sort of downgraded it, but it will always have a special place in my heart. It was my first Animal Crossing as well. Next up, Assassin's Creed Origins, a game I did actually finish. I got all the way to the end of the story, and my God, you'll know, it's a big game. I inflicted Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the game after this, but it's set in ancient Greece, on my poor Twitch viewers for so long. So many streams they had to sit through of me trying to get to the end of that game, and I did get to the end of that game, and I was really let down by the ending. This has a better ending, I felt. I loved playing as Cassandra in Odyssey, so playing as Bayek in Origins kind of felt a bit like, oh, I've got to be the big burly dude again. But then you get to certain stages where you get to play as a female character, and I was kind of like, oh, actually, kind of miss the big burly dude. Not least because the female character, who I won't say who it is, just in case you've never played this quite old game now, the female character doesn't have the abilities, basically. She doesn't have the eagle vision. She doesn't have a lot of the stuff that Bayek has, which you get very used to, obviously, as you're playing. But yeah, I like Ancient Egypt. I played this, I should say, and this will feature a few times. I played this using WeMod, which is a tool that basically lets you put cheats on yourself. You can put God mode on yourself. You can give yourself infinite oxygen if there's underwater sections, infinite money if you want to, a whole bunch of stuff. I am not good with combat generally, but I do like stories, and quite a few games I play I use WeMod for so that I can experience the stories and the locations and the environment and the plot and the setting without the constant stress of I cannot do this, I cannot do this, I can't beat this, I can't beat that. This is one of those games. I also played quite a bit of Odyssey with WeMod on as well. Judge me if you will, I really don't care. It's the only way I get to actually live through these stories. It was a good time. It doesn't have a place in my heart like Odyssey does, because I am more of an ancient Greek nerd than an ancient Egyptian nerd. And obviously it didn't have Cassandra, who I love. It was a good time. It was a good time. Oh, God. Balatro. And I have learned that you are supposed to pronounce it Balatro, not Balatro. Balatro, not Balatro. I haven't fallen into this as hard as I know a lot of people have. I've only beaten the run a couple of times, maybe 3, I think, at this stage, because I do have to restrict myself of how often I put it on, because if I put it on, that's the evening gone. I'm very careful of when I actually will sit and play. It runs really well on the Steam Deck, I will say. So if I do play it, I tend to play it on the Steam Deck, because then generally my wrists get a bit tired of holding the Steam Deck because it's a chonky lad, and I will get to a point where I need to put it down. Or I can use the battery life as a sort of timer to tell me to stop playing. Whereas if I played it on my PC, I would literally just sit and play it all night. I daren't put it on my phone because I value what little productivity levels I still have. This would murder them. I can't play poker in real life. I don't really understand the rules. Maths isn't my jam. So I can't play it what you might term as properly with strategy. I tend to just go along, pick the jokers that I like the look of along the way, upgrade as many planet cards as I can, and just hope for the best. It's a good time. It's a good time. It's just you have to be very restrictive with the time that you put into it. Otherwise, my God, your life will just whiz by. Next up was a demo, actually, of a game called Ballionaire. possibly going to be potentially the new, sort of the new Balatro in a way. It's roguelike. If you've ever played Peglin, it's similar to Peglin, but not. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's a plinko machine. I've only played this once. It was a demo and I played it once, but I've got really into it. Um, you put all these power-ups onto the pegs and then you fire the ball down and it bounces off the power-ups and all sorts of crazy stuff happens and you get massive scores. It's a good time. We're running away with it's a good time here, which doesn't really surprise me because I do tend to pick games that I think will be a good time. You at least hope that you're going to have a good time when you play something. I feel like the exceptions are going to be things that I try on Game Pass randomly, things that I do for achievements specifically, things that I get sent perhaps as a review key by a PR company or a developer, which there's no guarantee I'm going to enjoy it because I haven't picked it myself specifically. I guess we'll find out, won't we? Bear and Breakfast is something that I streamed towards the beginning of 2024. I remember it had quite a slow start. And at the end of the stream, I was kind of stuck because I didn't know how I was meant to progress. You will perhaps not be surprised to hear that I have not been back to it yet since then. I fully intend to, as I do with a lot of games that I start, especially ones that I stream. I often intend to go back to them, but then other things come up and take their place, get in the way. You know how it is. So, yeah, pleasant enough, I guess. I debated not including Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. This was another Game Pass attempt. I watched a friend of mine stream through the whole of this game, so I have seen the whole game. I just kind of wanted to have a go myself. There is no Wii mod support for this, which I was kind of hoping there would be because that's the only way I would stand a chance of getting very far in it, and I was proved right when I couldn't get past the first boss. Yeah, not for me, I guess, until Wii mod offers support for it. Oh, Bluey! Logic would say I should put this in only did it for the Chivos, right? Because it's a children's game. It's one of those like the Peppa Pig games and the Paw Patrol games that developers make and then charge £35 for because they know that frazzled, busy parents will pay whatever just to get their child to sit and be quiet with something. I have two little nieces, and I'm pretty sure there will come a time in the not too distant future where my brother and his wife maybe consider getting an Xbox or something for that purpose. I should say that I only did this for the Chivos, and I did do it as like a chasing Chivos stream, which I sometimes do, where I purely just play games just to get Xbox Achievos. Achievos? You know what I mean. But I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm going to put it as pleasant enough, I guess. I'd never watched Bluey the cartoon, but I now will. I liked the sly humour that was obviously directed to the adults. The music was really good. Obviously, the moral messaging was in there because, you know, to teach little kids to share and stuff like that. But I genuinely thought this was pleasant. I've played the Peppa Pig games for achievements, and oh my God, they are a slog. I know they're not designed for adults to enjoy, but still a slog. This one, though, quite pleasant. I'd play it again if I had to. I genuinely would. This is one you might not have heard of. This is called Bootleg Steamer, and it is one that I was sent. I can't remember if I requested it from a PR or if I was just randomly sent it, because there's a mix of both. It's a roguelike where you play as a smuggler during Prohibition in America. Basically, a little boat chugging around, trying to pick up things that people need elsewhere and deliver them, but without getting caught by the Coast Guard or the river police. It was a good time, but I haven't gone back to it since I streamed it, and I do really like roguelikes now. Roguelite. Things like Hades, you know, run, rinse, repeat, improve. This was kind of like that, but I felt perhaps it wasn't quite balanced enough at the time. It was new out when I streamed it, and I guess a lot of work will still have been carrying on to it. I do intend to go back to it someday and have another crack with more development behind it. But yeah, it was pleasant enough. And if you like roguelikes, it was such an interesting setting and concept that I think it's definitely worth looking up. Botany Manor. Confession time, I am playing Botany Manor twice at the minute, once on Windows, once on Xbox console, because you get separate achievements for the two platforms. Don't know why, you just do. This is a very pleasant puzzle game where you explore a manor and basically solve puzzles to grow plants. It's pleasant enough. Brotato. The art style in Brotato may be pretty basic, to say the least. There's a DLC out which I think just looks the same. It's just slightly different shaped enemies. I might be wrong. Don't come at me if I'm wrong. It's just stupid, silly fun. It's just such good fun. It's a good time. It's got really generous difficulty scaling, so you can make it as easy or as hard as you want to. I've nudged it towards the easier end. Again, I use this for achievements a lot as well, but this one I actually have fun getting the achievements, because some of the others less so. They feel like work, whereas this feels like fun. It doesn't have a place in my heart. If it had perhaps more varied level design instead of the same grey box for every single run, and varied enemy design a bit more. I love how many different characters there are, all the bonkers weapons and power-ups and stuff. That's all great. But not quite enough to make it have a place in my heart, I don't think. Sorry, potato. The curse. Every time I say that, the curse. The case. It's the case of the golden idol. It feels like it should be cursed, though, right? Anyway, this is a pretty popular puzzle game. I've got a really horrible, bad confession to make, which is that much as I wanted to love this and play through it using my own brain power, I just could not brain it for some reason. I'm going to have to put it in not for me. You use logic to work out which names and which murder weapons and other key information fit into various sentences on the screen. That should be my jam. I don't know if it's age or what, but I am just not able to do it. I just wasn't able to do it. It was so weird. I felt like I should have been able to sit and work it out, but in the end, it became another farm for achievements, which is unfortunate. I don't feel like I should even include it on a game I finished list, because I basically finished it thanks to the internet, which I know will disappoint a lot of people, but it is still really good. It's got very distinctive art, and it's not art that I super love, so perhaps that put me off wanting to hang around in it as well. Like, if it had looked nicer, their art choice is their art choice, and, you know, I totally get why they've given it this unusual art, because it makes it stand out, but it just didn't appeal to me. Yeah, really sorry. I wanted to like that one. Chance of Sinar, I actually bought on the Xbox. I paid money for it to own it, and then it came to Game Pass, which is really rude. Because it's not even a game you can particularly replay. Once you've played it, you've kind of played it, and there's not much replay value, I don't think. That's a shame, isn't it? Never mind. I own it now. Maybe in 100 years, when I've completely forgotten everything about it, I'll just play it again from the start. This is a language-based puzzle game. There's a game called Heaven's Vault, okay, which is basically about uncovering an ancient language in space and translating it. I kind of always wanted to be a translator when I was younger, and I didn't become one, spoiler. This also is a sort of glyph-based translation game where you learn through context and stuff. Again, I wanted to love it, I really did. I wanted to love it, but I'm going to have to put it in pleasant enough, I guess. There were some stealth sections which I just didn't like and felt were unnecessary. I confess that I didn't manage to solve the whole thing by myself. I had to turn to the internet for help, because apparently I am dumb, even when it comes to language. And I thought languages were kind of my thing in a way, but here we are. I want to say it was a good time, but it became a kind of a follower guide thing for about the whole last third, I would say, at least. I liked how it ended, and I liked the story and everything. I loved the art. The art's really distinctive and cool. I just didn't enjoy my experience with it so much, which is a real shame. It's our first only did it for the Chivos, which I really did. This is a game called Clumsy Rush, which I got on the Xbox for super cheap last year, or possibly the year before into last year. I was challenging myself to try and get 100,000 gamer score, and I found myself buying really, really, really cheap games that I could just rinse for G, which is a terrible thing for a gamer to do, really. You should just play games that you want to play for themselves, not for the arbitrary reward. But here we are, and this is one that I've been hanging around on my Xbox for ages since that time, and I just wanted to get it done and gone. It's a bit like Fall Guys, but there are only 2 of you. It might support more than 2 players, maybe up to 4. I honestly can't remember. A lot of the achievements you had to get with 2 players, so I basically had to connect a second controller and do that to get those achievements. Fall Guys, but not as well done as Fall Guys. I literally only did it for the Chivos. It took me about half an hour to an hour to get them all. So, yeah. Crash Bandicoot. I am not much of a platformer kind of girl. They're not my strength, shall we say. But when Crash came to Game Pass, the trilogy, I thought that'd be a good one to try and do while drinking wine on a stream. And that's what I did. I tell a lie. I had actually started it and got some easy achievements out of it first, which is perhaps, in hindsight, a mistake. I should have saved them all for the stream, and it would have been more impressive. Every so often, I do on Twitch wine streams where the community redeems points to force me into drinking a bottle of wine and playing something that I know I'm going to be bad at, getting repeatedly more angry at it until I can't take it anymore. So we did that, and we did it with Crash Bandicoot this last time. Under those circumstances, it was a good time till it got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. It's a memory that I enjoy having. Do I enjoy the experience of actually playing Crash? Not a huge amount, no, because I'm just not good enough at it. I don't have the drive, motivation, or interest in getting good at it either. It's just a kind of, it's there. I had a crack at it. It was all right. But the fact that it was a fun stream where I felt like I was being quite entertaining through the medium of red wine made it a good time. Onwards then to Crash Team Racing. This also recently came to Game Pass. I will say I've only done a handful of races in it. I've had a little go at it, mainly to see how it compared to Mario Kart. It seems all right. Seems pleasant enough, I guess. Knowing what the power-ups actually do, because in your head, oh, this is the red shell. You're literally comparing, contrasting to Mario Kart, because I never grew up with Crash Team Racing. This is the first time I've tried it. So that lack of familiarity makes it a little bit hard to do, but it's all right. I suppose if you had a bunch of people in the room together, it would be a better time. It is what it is. Oh, this is another one that I wanted to love. It's called Creeks. I know one of my good friends loves this game and has recommended it to me in the past. It's made by the developers that made Amanita and Botanicula as well, and it's beautifully drawn and animated. It's eerie, it's creepy, but not too much because I have a very low tolerance for eerie and creepy. But it's also, the mechanic is kind of stealthing again. It's puzzle solving through stealth, particular timings of doing things. I bought this, again, for really cheap on the Xbox. I started playing it. I got so far. I got stuck. I consulted a guide. I carried on with the guide, followed it a bit further, and then it just started getting more involved than I could really. And I decided I'm actually, sadly, not enjoying it. I'm loving looking at it because it looks really nice, but I'm just not enjoying it. So yeah, sadly, that's an not for me. So we are now in the chunk beginning with D, and D is for Dave and also for Diver. And indeed, I did play Dave the Diver. I actually played this on my much underused PS4, which I often forget that I have. And it was on PS Plus. So the whole PS Plus thing, obviously, I don't get that free with Microsoft Rewards points because it's Sony. So I had to pay for it. And I was paying for the basic level one, where you get the 3 or whatever free games a month. And then there was some offer pinged up on the screen saying, yeah, do you want to upgrade to the middle level one for a discounted amount? So I was like, yeah, I see your discounted amount, and yeah, maybe it will encourage me to use it more. Not like I don't have enough purchased games on there already, which I do, which, yes, I should play more, but let's not go into that. I kind of wanted to play Dave the Diver and also Dredge, which I haven't played yet, so you won't see that on this list, but they were in the middle tiers. That's basically what swung my decision. I'm going to put Dave in, yeah, good time, because I like the swimming around. I like the story that we've been following. I like the art and the graphics, especially in the shallow areas. Obviously, it's beautiful and it's like really, really bright and vibrant. I'm indifferent to the sushi bar parts of it and the farming. It probably could have done without that. I get why they put it in, but it could have done without it. But I like the swimming around and the stuff and the, oh god, there's a gigantic shark, these moments. However, because it's on PS4, that means I can't use Wiimote with it. So I am literally reliant on my own skills, for want of a better word. And I have got to a boss, which I think is in chapter 7 of, I want to say there are 8 chapters. We're in chapter 7, and it's the boss at the end of that. I tried fighting it probably about 5 to 7 times and couldn't beat it, and haven't gone back to the game since. And it's been a good few months now. I do want to. I want to finish this game. I want to see the end of the story, if nothing else. I know there's the whole farming thing, and I think that can all carry on after the story's even finished. I'm not sure. I just want to know what the story is, because the whole under the sea world and stuff is really neat, and I like that. I guess I need to level grind Dave and upgrade perhaps more of his stuff and go in with better. Can't even think what they're called. The things that the guy on the boat sells you that help you out. Accessories? Yeah, if I was a bit more powered up, perhaps I could beat this boss, because I can hit it, I just can't finish it. And then move on to chapter 8, although it does make me worry about what the final boss is going to be. But yeah, Dave the Diver is, I would say, a good time. Next up is Dear Esther, a game that I had played before on, I want to say I played it on Xbox. This was playing it through on PS4. It's pleasant enough, I guess. It's the first original walking sim. It was originally a Half-Life mod before it got turned into a game in its own right. I like the way it looks, this bleak Scottish island type vibe and the storytelling that's going on in that. It's pleasant enough. I think possibly I've played other games before playing this one that wowed me more, that were similar. Therefore, this one feels a bit empty, but also it's meant to feel a bit empty. So it's a difficult one to sort of rank, really. But it is pleasant enough, and I do think everyone should experience it. Listening to it with the director's commentary on as well, going through it again was quite interesting. Jessica Curry is obviously an amazing composer, so hearing all her input into the behind the scenes of that was really interesting. My oh my, okay, Death of the Reprobates. Let's put it in a good time for now, and then I'll explain why. So this is the third game in a triptych of games by Joe Richardson, who is a solo developer, who uses Renaissance and probably earlier-ish, I'm not sure of the time period, art and music, which is obviously in the public domain. And he uses it to make point-and-click adventure games. And I love a point-and-click adventure game. I first played the middle game of the series, which is called The Procession to Calvary, and I would say is the best one of the 3. And loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved streaming it. People like watching it. We've got loads of quotes out of it. One of my friends started speedrunning it out of having seen it, which was, really cool. It was really fun. The first game, Four Last Things, is quite short. It's okay. You can sort of see that he was getting used to what he was doing with making the games at that point. Calvary is, for me, the pinnacle. Death of the Reprobate, shorter than Procession to Calvary. Kicks off with some pretty, Peggy 18 content, which none of us were expecting when I streamed it. But shall we say? Not visually, just the things that the characters were saying. It's not voice acted, so I had to read it out, and there were parts that I just basically refused to read out. You could all read it on the screen yourselves if you want to see what it says. I'm not a prude, I don't mind stuff like that, but it just seemed it came out of nowhere, and it was so different to the tone of the first 2 games that it surprised me. It surprised all of us, I think. But yeah, it was still a good time. It was a shorter game. They are a lot of fun. He likes things that are just a bit odd, a bit quirky. Definitely check them out. But yes, do them in order and then be prepared for this one. I should add, by the way, that it snowed here overnight. I genuinely had that childlike wonder moment this morning when I opened the curtains and saw that it was white outside. Every so often I look to my right and I can see into my garden. There's snow out there and I'm like, it looks wrong. What's going on? Oh yeah, it snowed. Okay, next up in the D category is Descenders, which I played right at the end of the year in a friend's community Twitch stream. A bunch of us got together and played Descenders and then played something else, which will show up later. I'm going to be honest with you, it's a good time. I am terrible at it. This is a procedurally generated downhill mountain biking game. I can't ride a bike in real life. I am very, very risk averse, especially when it comes to anything physical. I won't, risk injury. Even as a child, I never learned to ride a bike because I was too scared of falling off. This is a video game. It's a video game. You can't get hurt. And yet, I still carry that same amount of risk aversion into this, and I end up breaking a lot as I'm going down the steep bits, not doing any tricks because I daren't. You only have a finite number of lives in this, and if you die, you have to wait for the rest of the people in the party to reach a medic camp to revive you. If they don't, you don't get revived, and you basically have to sit there and watch and sort of twiddle your thumbs and read a book while you wait for them to either revive you or finish the run. But it is a laugh. It is a good time when you actually manage to do something. There are these the kind of boss level jumps, and I managed to land one of them, which I'd never seen before on my first attempt, and I was so proud of myself. That moments like that lift it up, where I could feel very sidelined and a bit. Oh, I'm the last one rolling over the line again because I go much slower than everyone else. But also, I've got all these lives left, and they haven't. So it's swings roundabouts. Whatever you want to take from it to make it enjoyable for you, that's what you should take for it and make it enjoyable for you. Also a good time is Diablo 4, with the addendum that it very nearly got ruined when they did some sort of update to it recently and put in a side quest which basically respect your character and or your gear. The friend that I play this with and I were not pleased about this and pretty much swore off playing it. And then we returned to it because we missed it, and I kind of want to know what happens in the story. At the same time, though, the story actually not probably the main driver for playing this. The main driver is basically being a fire-wielding sorcerer who can summon flaming hydras out of the ground, giant snakes made of fire, and just throwing fire around everywhere. It's kind of also, again, good silly fun. In a way, there's this deathly serious story going on. All this grimness all around you, and I'm over there in my flimsy-looking sorcerer outfit. Going, fireball, fireball, hydra, hydra, snake. Fire everywhere. Because it's such a snowy environment, the fire really stands out as well, and it looks really cool. So it's just good to mess around in, level up, and then occasionally go and do a main quest bit for the story. Dungeon Crawler is definitely a good time. So far, at least. So far. If you've played Peglin, I mentioned Peglin earlier, which won't feature on this list because I didn't play it this year. Imagine Peglin and the run mechanics of that and the choosing your direction on a map and that sort of thing. But instead of it being a peggle board, it's a grabby claw hand. This is the side for grabby claw hand. Like you'd get in a claw machine game in an arcade, it's that. And you pick up swords, daggers, maces, all kinds of things that can fall into this like pit, box, whatever they call it. As you pick them up, they attack the enemies in front of you. There's buffs, there's different character styles. It's like Peglin, but with a claw. I don't reckon what else to say. It's very, very cartoony, flat cartoony style, which I like. The music is a bit lacking, I will say that much, but the gameplay and the I'll just have one more go-ness of it is A grade. I find it very, very addicting. I played the demo and I liked it so much that when it came out, I actually bought it, which is fairly rare for me to do. Yeah, if that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is. Okay, hands up if you expected to see Elden Ring on this list. Because I know for sure I did not. At least not this time. Last year I didn't. Do you remember ages ago now when I was talking about Assassin's Creed Origins and I said how I play it with Wiimote because I just want to experience the story, the place, the setting, the characters, the quests without constantly failing and not getting anywhere and being stuck and not making progress. That is why I play Elden Ring. And I will confess, I'm going to put it in, a good time. I don't think it has a place in my heart yet. I haven't played it enough. I've played it a handful of times for quite a long time each time, if you see what I mean. So I've done quite a bit, but only on like maybe 5 different play sessions. I hid this in my Steam library. So if you are a Steam friend of mine and you're wondering, well, I play Elden Ring, why have I not seen that TC has been playing this? Because I've hidden it, because I don't feel that I deserve the achievements that Steam gives you for things. I do not deserve those achievements. I have Wiimodded this game to within an inch of its life. I play it offline, and there's no risk of getting banned or whatever because of cheating. It's completely offline. There are no other players. It affects nobody else. It's just for me to explore this land that, for some reason, despite it being so grim and dark, grimdark, if you will, I am absolutely obsessed with the lore of this story and this thing, this whole place. Once Elden Ring came out and lore videos started coming out about it, I've watched so many of them. Shout out to Varty Video, who makes the best lore videos on this whole world. I have watched a lot of his videos. I always kind of knew, oh, I'd really love to actually get in there myself. It's fine watching people play, but I want to get in there and explore it myself, you know? And so that's what I've been doing, really quietly and covertly, without anybody knowing. A couple of people know that I play this, but only a couple. Mainly because I'm like, oh my God, I went and saw the thing and I met the thing and so on. I need somebody to outlet that to. Yeah, WeMod. Thank you, WeMod, because oh my God, I would not be able to play this without you. I did try to start playing it without it. The first bit of anything. I can't time things like parrying, dodging. I'm not a parry dodge kind of person. I'm very much, if you've seen me play Assassin's Creed, a kind of try to be stealthy, but then get found out and then just wave the weapon around until everybody's dead kind of player. That's just how I am. That doesn't fly in Elden Ring. That's not a way that you can play Elden Ring. So I have it set that I am basically invisible. I have infinite health, so I can't be killed. I get to wander around and nobody pays me any attention until I engage with them, which is really nice because it means you can actually genuinely just wander around and explore things. Except when you go into something like a catacomb and you walk through a door and an imp it's set to trigger to attack you. I'm so used to things not attacking me generally, even if I walk quite close to them. These things still jump scare me, which I don't like and I don't appreciate FromSoft. But I kind of get why you've done it. So yeah, Elden Ring. I don't think I'll ever make it to Shadow of the Erdtree because I'm only in the Limgrave Forest, the place with the large bears at the minute. I'm not very far into it, but I am just really loving seeing it on my own screen and choosing where I go and what gear I use and all that sort of stuff. It's like playing it from behind a veil of safety. I need that to feel comfy. And, most often I do want to feel comfy and not challenged. So that's why. But yeah, it's a good time. Next up, we have a game called Elea, ELEA. This is definitely going in, only did it for the Chivos because it's something I picked up cheap on Xbox back in the day when I was doing my challenge. Narrative game set in space about a woman looking for her husband, and it's not great. I didn't finish it, even though I was trying to get achievements out of it. I just couldn't do it. I'd lost interest, and the mechanics, the controls were a bit and stuff. Just, yeah, don't bother. It's not worth it. Debated putting this on because I have only played it literally once in the entire year, and it was probably for about an hour, but rules is rules. If I played it, it goes on the list. Enter the Gungeon. Recommended to me by someone I know who knows I enjoy roguelikes and stuff like that. This is a twin sticky kind of thing for now. And if you're watching this, person who recommended it, don't worry. I'm going to put in pleasant enough, I guess, because my only experience of it so far was pleasant enough, I guess. I was playing it on the Steam Deck, which is probably a mistake for my first time because good as the Steam Deck is, it's a smaller screen, obviously. And seeing some of the things was a little bit difficult because I wasn't yet sure what I was looking at, what things were. I think if I'd played it on the PC on a proper big monitor first, I probably would be putting it higher. And I probably would have gone back to it sooner as well. I haven't gone back to it yet. But I will because it does intrigue me. I liked what I played. It just wasn't a comfy experience on the deck, I think, was the problem. This is Europa, which is a game I was sent very kindly by a PR company for a dev. It is a Studio Ghibli looking exploration game, kind of with elements of Breath of the Wild, shall we say. There are turrets that fire lasers at you, which I know is not unique to Breath of the Wild, but this felt very Breath of the Wild because it has that sort of vibe and look and ancient ruins and all that sort of stuff as well. It was... Oh, I'm debating. I want to say a good time. Yeah, it was. I streamed it and it was a good time. I think it took us 2 streams to complete, which is a really ideal game length for me. Anything long, the odds of me actually finishing it rapidly diminish. There's also a Zen mode in it where it removes the things that can harm you. I was going to go back and actually have a go at that, but I haven't done yet. And I feel like probably won't bother because if there was none of that, it would just be jumping block puzzles and then floating around and trying to work out how to get high up and collect things. It's a bit of a collectathon as well, which would downgrade it to pleasant enough, I guess. Yeah, I am going to downgrade it to pleasant enough, I guess. It was very pleasant. I don't regret playing it. It's really nice. It's very beautifully drawn and everything. The music's really nice. The stories interesting and it's a bit sad, but also very nice. I don't know. There's just something stopping me from putting in, yeah, good time. Zoom Zoom F-Zero 99. This is on the Switch, which you probably know. If you know what F-Zero 99 is, it's where you and 98 other people compete to F-Zero your way to the winner's podium. Haven't played it that much. Honestly, I don't think it's for me. I like the idea of it, and if I was good at it, I'd like it more. It's too fast for me. I don't have the reaction speeds to be able to do it well, and therefore I find it kind of literally not for me. There's not really much more to say. If you know F-Zero, you know what it's like, and that's just something that is just not for me. Firework is a Chinese made and translated into English, not always super well, narrative adventure game. It was on Game Pass, and I'll be honest, I played it for the Chivas. The story, once it got going, was quite interesting. It's a creepy, eerie ghost story. You're a police officer investigating something. Yeah, it was okay. If it hadn't been for the achievements and trying to get to the full 1000G, which I did, I wouldn't have carried on with it. I wouldn't have bothered. Ah, lovely, lovely Flock. Not to be confused with a game from quite a few years ago called Flock exclamation mark, which is about herding sheep, I think. This does have sheep in it, but it's not about herding them predominantly. Flock is a good time. It's beautifully colourful and vibrant. The way it looks is what attracted me to have a go at it. On Game Pass again. You fly around on a beautifully coloured bird looking for sort of weird shaped creatures. You find different whistles which you use to attract them and get them to join your flock, and then you all fly around together. There is kind of a story. I think it was about completing an encyclopedia of the animals was the gist of the story. I don't remember if there's anything more mysterious about it than that. I don't think there was. The fly mechanic is really nice. It's very satisfying to swoop around and make these little tweety bird calls and stuff. I kind of lost interest after... I don't even know how far I was through it. Probably more than a third, but maybe slightly less than half. I don't know. I covered quite a lot of the map. I just got to a point where I was like, I don't really feel the need to attract any more animals. The story wasn't quite compelling enough to keep me wanting to find out what happened at the end. But what I had from it that I did with it was a good time. It was very chill, very relaxing. There's no combat. It's nice. Fresh Start Cleaning Simulator, or whatever they're calling it now. The icon says Fresh Start. I'm pretty sure the full name is Fresh Start Cleaning Simulator. It's essentially Power Wash Simulator, but not. This is simpler than that. You squirt water at piles of dirt until the piles of dirt disappear. They turn into rubbish, which you recycle to boost your water squirting thing. It's just very chill. I want to say it has a place in my heart, except it feels like it's kind of the next one down from there. It's very pleasant. It's very relaxing. I've streamed this once or twice, I think. You go to different levels all around the world, and there's cats. You find hats for the cats and put them on the cats. That's always great to have hats in a game, and cats. It's essentially, it's what it says. It's you clean up rubbish and restore things to how they were. It's just a nice experience doing that, really. But it doesn't have the same dings that Power Wash has, probably for copyright reasons. So it doesn't quite have the same amount of dopamine hits that you get from that. But it is still very much a good time. Glass Masquerade 2, the one with the clown face. This is going to go in Pleasant Enough, I guess. This is the second in the Glass Masquerade series, of which there are now 3. Jigsaw puzzle game using stained glass style art. The first game, absolutely adored it. The second game, they went down the creepy road and put all these very creepy pictures in. The main title art is a horrific clown face with sharp teeth. I don't like it. But I do like the game. It's pleasant enough. It's doing a jigsaw, basically. However, I felt that the art in this one, although it had the same kind of shiny, gilded, stained glass window type effects, the pictures themselves in those windows, it was hard to tell what they were. You couldn't build the picture with the pieces, seeing what the pieces had on them. You could literally just join things together by color and shape. And even when it revealed the picture at the end, I was still looking at a lot of them going like, okay, but what actually is it? Whereas with the first one, I don't think that happened. The third one has gone down a slightly different route of how they do the shapes of the pieces. Again, it feels a little bit lacking compared to the first one. But yes, apart from the theme, it's pleasant enough. Do you remember how the very first game was the 12 Labours of Hercules? This is Gnome's Garden 2, which I don't know why it's Gnome's Garden and not Garden Gnomes. It's not gnomes with an apostrophe, so it's not the garden belonging to the gnome. Let's not get into it. It's the same game, basically. Your worker placementing, making them run around to pick up wood, to go back, to build a thing, to upgrade this thing. You need more energy to do that. It's that sort of thing. It's not as good as the Hercules ones. I don't think it doesn't have the same sort of charm. I've only played an hour or two of it, but it's pleasant enough. It scratches that itch for, I want to organise things. A classic now, golf with your friends. Golf with your friends is almost always a good time, really. Depends how much alcohol you've consumed as to how successful you are at it. Depends who you're playing with and how good they are at it as to how you feel about how you're doing. Some of the courses, or some of the holes on some of the courses, really suck. I will never like the Oasis level, for example, but I always like the Twilight level. It's golf, it's mini golf. You know what mini golf is like. Grow, Song of the Evertree. I started this way back in January. I don't even know how to describe it. I feel like I'm going to have to ask you to go and look it up. It's a very cutesy game where you both manage a town, your town building and attracting people to live in it, but you're also then flying up into this big old Evertree to build worlds on its branches. Bear with me. Each world on its branches that you build has different characteristics based on what essence you created that world with, which results in the flora and fauna that you then find in said world. I think I'm remembering this right. And you collect more stuff to be able to do other things. There is a story behind it. You're trying to restore the Evertree, basically. I can't remember why or what happened to it in the first place. It's very relaxing. The mechanic of going up to the world, doing all the chores up there, then coming back down to the town at the bottom, doing some town maintenance, and then nighttime comes and you go to sleep. I'm going to put it in pleasant enough. I would have put it in a good time, except I haven't gone back to it. And if it was a good time, I think I would have gone back to it more often. Moving on then, and I think you know where this is going. Hades will always be in my personal hall of fame, and is it ever not going to be? This is my all-time favorite game. If you don't know, I've 100%ed this on Steam and on Xbox, and I'm working through doing it on PlayStation. And yeah, I just love it. This is the game that got me into roguelikes, likes, whatever, rogue-ish games. Because I am an ancient Greek nerd, as I mentioned earlier with Assassin's Creed. I love Greek myth. There is nothing about this game that I dislike, except that sometimes it's a little bit hard to see the fishing spots in one of the biomes. There'll never be a time when I don't love this game and feel fondly about it. Which, of course, leads us on to Hades 2. Don't worry, people that don't want spoilers for Hades 2. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not going to say anything detailed about it. Yeah, Hades 2, not out properly yet. It's still out in early access. I bought it the day it came out, despite thinking I would like to hold off until it was completed. I couldn't resist. I bought it day one, and it jumped straight into it. I think I streamed it that same week, and I've streamed it a few times since. I haven't beaten what is available within the game yet. This is going to be tricky to talk about. If you know the game, you'll know that there are things that you can achieve in the game at the minute. I have not fully achieved those things. I've put about 30-something hours into this so far. It plays amazingly on Steam Deck as well, by the way, which is brilliant. Obviously, I know it's not the full game. I know there will be things in the full release that will mean that I need to start it again, basically. But I couldn't bear to know that it existed in the world and not be involved with it. And that's why I own it and why I've been playing it this year. And I love it. Will I love it as much as the first game? The first game has nostalgia for me, in a way, in that it's the game that gave me confidence and belief to think that I can play games that I thought that I couldn't. Except Elden Ring, obviously. Hades 2 can't give me that because I now already have it, but it might give me something different and special instead. So I'm really looking forward to finding out what that is, and eventually when it does full release, being able to talk about it with people, because oh my god, I need to talk about it with people. Come on, Supergiant, please hurry. Have a Nice Death is a good time. You play as Death. The fighting mechanics are really cool. I'm not great at it, but I enjoy it. I enjoy its sense of humor. I like the style of it. But yeah, it's just a good time. Oh, Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga. Yeah. Came to Game Pass, and I thought, okay, I'd seen a friend of mine years ago stream some of the first game. And I know it's very dark. I know it's very sort of critically acclaimed and all that. Explores mental health. I never wanted to play it particularly, so I didn't. Then this came to Game Pass, and I thought, might be some achievements in it for me. Maybe I found that there was a way that you can play it without having to struggle with the combat. I can't remember what it was now. There was some sort of assist feature, or so. I forget the exact details. All the reviews of it that I saw said it was kind of a thumbstick up simulator. That's all you do, is she walks forward because you're holding the thumbstick up. Sometimes she swims forward. It is a bit more than that. There is puzzle solving. You have to find these room shape things in the environment. I'm sure the story's brilliant, but it's not for me. I couldn't get on with it. My computer also really struggled to run it, and that wasn't helping. So between the lag and the slow pace of moving forward, I don't deny that games can have slow paces and be really good, but it's not for me. It's not for me. I feel like it maybe isn't for many people, unfortunately, but it's definitely not for me. One that is for me, though, and honestly, I cannot tell you that how surprised I was, because this only came about within the last week. Today is what, the 5th of January. I started playing this a week ago, and it already has a place in my heart. And it is Infinity Nikki, which you may never have heard of, or you may be like, oh my god, why are you playing that? Imagine, if you will, an RPG maybe like Breath of the Wild. But imagine that it's like gender norms, etc. It's incredibly girly. It's like girly to the max. It's about collecting outfits. It's about style battles. It's about collecting hairstyles and makeup and stuff. And, you know, I'm not a girly girl in real life, but I kind of like it in games sometimes. There are still all the RPG elements as well. So there are quests, there's a main story, there's loads of side quests, there's things to collect, there's things to craft. There's a lot of things to craft. There is a bicycle that you can ride around on, like in the Pokemon games. There are these curio gates that you go through to solve a puzzle to get yourself a Whim Star, which is the main kind of crafting material that you need a lot of. The puzzles within those curio gates are basically shrines from Zelda. A big ball is rolling down a thing and you need to get it into this hole. How do you do it with the skills that you have? It's that. But it's done in a whimsical, colourful, bright way the whole way through. There is a story. The main story is not terrible. Shadowy things are happening in the kingdom that we've found ourselves in, and we're the chosen one to try and help sort it out and solve the problems. It's very, very hand-holdy. It tells you exactly where to go to do the quests, which I like. I can't be bothered. Much as I like poking around in Elden Ring, exploring, if I was playing that properly, I would be driven nuts by not knowing where to go, what to do. This is more along the Assassin's Creed Origins Odyssey thing. Here is the quest marker. Go to it. The thing will be there that you need. And I like that because I am quite lazy. It is just incredibly comfy. I have styled my Nikki, and I think she looks absolutely stunning, and I really love her. The music is really good in it as well. Surprisingly good. There's some themes that kick in at different points that are just really, really well composed. You know, they're really nice pieces of music. The only downside, which is what people will probably hate about it, if you style and all that aside, is that it is a gacha game, so it's free to play, but you can pay money for real stuff. You can pay money for what are essentially loot boxes, but it doesn't ram it down your throat. It doesn't insist that you do that. It's not pay to win. It's pay for cosmetics, which there are so many things in the game. I can live without the paid for cosmetics. I've only been playing it a week, obviously, but I have not seen anything that I'm like, oh, damn, I really kind of want to drop £15 to get enough currency to buy that thing, because I just haven't seen anything like that. everything else that it's done has just been so pretty. It is a really, really, really pretty game. Runs on my laptop as well, which is kind of fatal because that means I can play it in bed and I can just sit and play it until the early hours of the morning, which I may have done once or twice until the laptop basically overheats because it's so graphically demanding. It's got bug catching, it's got fishing, which normally I hate in games, but in this I will accept it because she puts a cute fishing outfit on when she does it. It's got animal grooming, it's got other skills. I've been an electrician for some frogs. It's something you'll either love or hate. And if you can't see past the visual style of it to what I think is quite a solid game underneath, then I won't be able to convince you. But I can tell you that it absolutely has earned a place in my heart within the space of a week, which is no mean feat. Oh, Islanders. I wish I could remember you better. I think this is a kind of dwarf romantic. You place a hexagon down and it's a piece of land of some type, and you're trying to achieve a certain amount of pieces of type of land in. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. You're going to have to go and look it up. I remember playing it, but nothing about it. So, yeah, pleasant enough. Jackbox. This was the other game that we played on New Year's Eve after we played some Descenders. It depends which Jackbox games you're playing. There are a lot. There are some that we have as a community that are our favourites, which we do tend to revert to. Quiplash, Fibbage, that kind of thing. The wordy-based games more than any others. It depends how drunk you are, how drunk other people are, kind of what the level of humour is that's going on in that particular session. If any particularly good recurring jokes come up that then run throughout and become memes within your community, that kind of thing. I want to say it's a good time, but although it is amusing most of the time, sometimes it feels difficult to answer the prompts. The pressure to be funny is there. And if you don't feel funny or other people aren't finding you funny even though you thought you were, it feels kind of things. It's a hard one to quantify because it does include so many different mini games within it. Some I like more than others, but there are a lot that I just kind of don't really like. So I feel like that in itself does downgrade it to pleasant enough, I guess. Jusant. Another game that I have started on Game Pass, I'm not finished. This is the climbing one, if you're aware of it, where you are meant to use separate controller buttons, or I guess keyboard buttons if you're playing on PC, to control the different limbs of your climber. I don't do that because that was way too stressful. I just have him climb when I press A, or whatever it was. It's very pretty to look at, and there's a semi-intriguing mystery going on. Some of the puzzly elements are based on the terrain around you. You've got to work out how to get from A to B with a certain length of rope, but using the different features of that bit of terrain. That is quite cool. I like that. There's a lot of hidden lore bits to find, glyph things on the walls. And yeah, I can't say it wowed me though. I don't think I can say it was a good time. I think it was pleasant. Kena and the Bridge of Spirits. This was another got it on the middle level of PS Plus thing. If you know this game, you'll know that it looks stunning. It's like watching a DreamWorks movie or a Pixar movie. It's got these adorable little creatures in, which I want a plushie of. I don't think they do them. I sat and I played it for probably maybe 3 or 4 hours in one go. Really loved it. Felt like I was doing okay at it. And then I got to a point where I just got stuck and I haven't gone back to it yet. And that does make me sad because, as I say, it's a really neat game. It looks amazing. It sounds brilliant. The production values are really, really high. But, yeah, I got stuck. Unless I end up with it on PC at some point, and there is Wiimote for it, I'm not going to be able to progress it. I can't really say what I did was a good time, but I would like to be able to do more. So, yeah, pleasant enough, I guess. League of Enthusiastic Losers is another little Xbox title that I picked up. It's a narrative story about 2 friends. I think they're friends, or are they a couple? Oh my god, I've literally already forgotten. It's these 2 guys. I think they are a couple, actually. That doesn't bode well for giving that a high score. I did 100% of this. It's quite short. It's got a nice little story. I think it was made in Russia. I think those are Russian developers, if I remember rightly. So it's set in Russia, which is really different. It's not something I've really encountered before. I can't give it anything more than pleasant enough, I guess, because clearly I can't remember enough about it to do that. Sorry. Lifeless Planet, another one I bought on Xbox, not purely for the intention of just getting Chivos out of it. I thought it looked strangely, even though it's literally a lifeless planet, it did look quite a compelling story, and the reviews were good. I'm going to put it in pleasant enough, I guess. Again, I haven't finished it because I was chugging along really well, exploring. There's these, I don't think it's a spoiler because it happens pretty early on. There's these abandoned laboratories on the planet, the lifeless planet. There's no life, but there's these laboratories. So there has been life. You're trying to piece together what's happened, what's been going on. It's relatively linear in that it funnels you to the right places. It's not open world or anything. But there was a part that I got to. Again, so many of the things I don't finish come down to skill rather than disinterest, which does bother me, but also not enough to develop skill. Too much else to do in life. So there was a part that I came to where I had to kind of rocket boost jump across a ravine or a chasm or something. And I tried so many times to get this guy to do this, to get him across this ravine, and every time it failed. And in the end, I got annoyed with it and I turned it off. And I haven't turned it back on yet. So, yeah, up until that point, it was pleasant enough, I guess. Lil Gator game. Imagine, if you will, a short hike. Short hike is one of my favourite games. Running around the island, you know, doing tasks for people, collecting things, trying to climb to the top of the mountain. Lil Gator game, kind of like that. Running around an island or a set of islands, collecting stuff. You and your friends are trying to build a sort of fantasy city by collecting cardboard and string and bits of craft materials. It's really sweet. It's a short hike, but slightly different. Without the important message. The important message in this is you're trying to convince your big sister to come and play with you like she used to do back in the day, but she's busy writing her dissertation or whatever. Oh my God, imagine. And in the end, guess what? She remembers the value of being childlike sometimes. And that's the story. It's a good time trying to work out how you can get up to that top of that tree to get that box of stuff there. It's just fun. And I finished the story, which is, you know, as I've mentioned, rare for me. So it goes in a good time because I had a good time and I finished the story for it. Much like I did for Little Kitty Big City. Also a good time. I will not be 100% in this because there are some jumping bits that I just haven't the patience to do. But I did finish the story and it was cute. It's short, it's sweet, it doesn't outstay its welcome. And you're a cat. Well, you know, what more do you want? Loop Hero. Loop Hero is one that I delve in and out of periodically. I'm going to put it in pleasant enough, I guess, because I don't go back to it often and regularly enough to rank it any higher. I've not got a hugely long way in it. I just find that the loop mechanic of it really satisfying, and it's something to sort of just pop in, play a bit of, maybe beat the boss at the end of that level, but probably not because I tend to get killed before I get to it because I'm greedy and try and do another loop. I like the element of building up the camp and leveling things up back a base and on all that sort of stuff. It's pleasant. Not a wild shake your world kind of good time, but it's fun. Mahjong Adventure. Mahjong. That's it. That's the review. Mechanica, or Mechanica, as I think you're probably supposed to say. This is a point-and-click game from the people who made Agatha Knife, if you're familiar with that. I also have Agatha Knife, I haven't played it yet, but I have seen someone else play it, and the humour in it, I found quite amusing. Mechanica is perhaps a bit more basic. It's pleasant enough, I guess. It's an okay little point-and-click game. I don't remember much about it now, other than she's inventing something because she's pissed off about something. Merge and Blade. I'm going to put it in only did it for the Chivos, because at the minute I am sort of only doing it for the Chivos because I don't fully understand exactly how to play it. This is on Game Pass. Match 3 to create fighter type, and if you match 3 of those, it upgrades to the next fighter type, etc. Once you've done the match 3 stage, all the little people you've created rush off to the side, have a battle, like an auto battle, with some enemies, and based on where you've placed them and what you've got in your party, you either win or die. I think you have to win 5 rounds of fighting, alternating between match 3 and fighting. It sort of doesn't super explain itself, I don't think, unless I've missed it, but it's okay. Not something I could see myself playing long term and trying to defeat the entire campaign or anything like that, but it does give you Chivos, so yeah, that's cool. Miniatures is a game that I streamed. It's very short, less than an hour, probably more like half an hour. I'm going to put it in pleasant enough, I guess. It's 4 short stories. You interact with objects to make the story progress. Some of the stories were interesting or sort of made you think, and a couple of them were just a bit like, eh. This is what puts it in the middle category. It was a good time because some of it dragged it down, but it's not for me because some of it dragged it up. So it was pleasant enough, I guess. But I was given it for free by a PR company, so I am thankful for that, and I'm glad I tried it. It was really interesting. Each of the 4 stories is very differently displayed visual wise. I'm running out of words. I've been recording for quite a long time. We're going to run out of voice as well at some point, I can tell. And there are still so many bubbles left to go. Let's move on. The 2 Microsoft Mahjong. I should learn this, and I really should learn this. Which is pleasant enough. And Microsoft Solitaire, which is also pleasant enough. I can't, in all good faith, say that Solitaire is a good time. It's just something that you do when you're trying to idle away some time, right? They're pleasant. They're those games, but they're Microsoft's version of them. So yeah, cool. Ocean Keeper, relatively recent discovery. Again, another roguelike. This time where you are under the ocean in a big old mech fighting off creatures, and then alternating between being in the mech and diving into caves to find resources to upgrade. It's a very addictive cycle. It's constantly timing you. You get a minute or so in the caves, and then things start attacking whether you're back up in your mech or not. So you have to really hurry back to get back up to the mech and defend it, because if the mech dies, the run is over. It's still in early access. There's a lot of good in it, and I've managed to get a fair way. I don't know how far it goes, how long it is at the minute, but I've managed to beat, I think, 3 bosses in it in one run, which is pretty good for me. I just like the satisfying loop of get stuff, upgrade thing, repeat. That's the heart of all of these type of games, isn't it? That's just how they are. Old Man's Journey is a puzzly game where it's 2D flat plains, but you're dragging hills in the foreground and then paths from the background to meet each other so that the old man can have a path through to where he needs to go. It's a really lovely story, and it's really beautifully arted. I was about to say arted is not a It's really beautiful to look at. Very relaxing music, very chill. Was it a good time? I feel like it was more of a pleasant time. I feel bad when I put things that I love the look of into just pleasant. And I don't know what that says about me, but yeah, when I think about it, did I have a good time playing it? It was okay. It was pleasant. Ooh, Open Roads. Okay, Open Roads came to Game Pass. It's a narrative game about a mother and a daughter. They're going on this road trip to find out a secret about the grandma who has recently passed away. It's not for me. I was about to say I only did it for the Chivos, because I did get all the Chivos, and that's essentially why I mainly carried on going with it. It was just, I didn't love, this is going to sound superficial, I didn't love how it looked, how it functioned. They're very flat characters. They only move occasionally, which is fine and can be fine. It's fully voice acted, but the mouths of the characters only sometimes moved, and that seemed weird, that sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't. Almost like it was kind of placeholder and it hadn't been finished, which, it has been finished. This is the finished game. It's very short, which in a way was a blessing. The secrets was quite cool, I thought, but would I recommend somebody else to play it? Probably not, unless they were just after 1,000 easy G in Xbox. Paper Trail is the one and only game that I have so far played on Netflix. I know, right? On my tablet. A puzzle game. If you imagine the screen is a page, you can drag the corners of it, the sides of it, to fold them over on top of themselves to create different paths that your little character can then move around on. I find it quite difficult. It has got a hint system in it, but the hint system only tells you the order of the folds that you need to make. It doesn't tell you where to put the character, so it doesn't fully tell you what to do, which is a really neat way of doing it, I think. But yeah, it's not often that I will sit and want to play a game on my tablet. I don't really want to buy it on Steam when I can play it for free on my tablet. So it's going to go in pleasant enough. I've got, I don't know how far through it, not a super long way through it. I don't know how long it is either. But the art is really lovely, and I vaguely remember the music being quite pleasant as well. If you're into logic, puzzles, and spatial thinking, you'll probably really enjoy it. Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol clearly is going in my... No, it's not. Paw Patrol is a game that I played with the Chivos entirely. This one is Paw Patrol World, which is the open world one, where you're running around Adventure Bay instead of going from level to level to level to level. It's okay, but that openness means that it takes longer to get to the Chivos because you're not just doing like, I did a level. Great, we saved the things. Okay, cool. Here's a Chivo. Okay, we've unlocked this character. This is a bit more wide-ranging than that, and so it's slow. They're cute and all, but I literally have all of the sound effects turned off in this because all the voices are annoying. They're designed for small children. The music is a bit obnoxious. It's got cute dogs in. Paw Patrol on a roll. I can't remember if I'm playing this on Xbox or PlayStation, to be honest. I know it's on both. I want to say it's PlayStation. This one is probably the worst Paw Patrol that any of us in my little sort of streaming community, we fell into kind of trying to speedrun some of the Paw Patrol games for no clear reason. The first couple that we played were actually okay. I think it was Paw Patrol Saves Adventure Bay or something like that. Or there was one about movies, I think. I don't know. And then there's this open world one, which is the one I just talked about. And then there's this one, which is On a Roll. The first two games that we played collectively had a bit of pathfinding, and you guided through the level. There's things to go behind and have a look at. This one could practically be an auto-scroller. Just run right, collect bones, run right. Just keep running right. There's no reason to run anywhere else, just run right. Not that any of these games are detailed and extensive and involved and challenging, but this one is the least of all of those things. It's just run right. But also Chivos, so, you know. Oh, God, and then, yeah, this is a bad run, isn't it? A bad run. Phoenix, right. So you'll see there are 3 bubbles the same here. I only realized now that you can't see my mouse. So I had thought that it was visible on the screen, but it's not. Anyway, so there are 3 Phoenix Wright bubbles because I played 3 different Phoenix Wright games within the trilogy, the one that came out on Game Pass. I did not pay for these, and I'm so glad that I didn't. I wanted to like these. Logically, I should like these. They're visual novels with a bit of detectiveness thrown in, and that should be super my jam. And yet, oh my God, they were infuriating. I streamed 1 and some of 2. Or did I stream some of 2? Maybe I didn't. I think maybe I just blasted through 2 on my own. They're so long, and I get that it's Japanese humor, which perhaps doesn't translate well, necessarily. It's relying on you knowing certain cultural things, which I wouldn't. I'm perhaps not the right audience for it. But the thing is, I know so many people who love these games, and I can't see why, because the characters are just so beyond annoying. It's just unbearable. I'm going to have to put all 3 of them down as only did it for the Chivos. I finished 1. I finished the second one, really pushed through to finish it and get it done because it was leaving Game Pass. I started the 3rd one but didn't get very far because it takes so long. Even if you speed click through the dialogue, then you're going to miss something. Even if you're following a guide and you speed click through the dialogue, it still takes forever. They are very long games. So yeah, Phoenix Wright really, really disappointed me in terms of how I felt about it. Very disappointed. Pixel Lines DX is a puzzle game on the Switch. I don't know if it's on other things as well, but I have it on the Switch. Connecting numbers. I may have to put something on the screen to show you because it's hard to describe. There's probably a name for this type of puzzle. I don't know what it is. It's not Picross. There are numbers on a grid, but you have to join them with lines, but without any of the lines overlapping and without leaving any blank spaces. Yeah, if there's a name for that, let me know. It's okay. I dip into this periodically. It gets annoying if you can't complete a little bit of a puzzle because there's a story mode and it won't let you progress until you've completed that puzzle. Sometimes I will close it, come back to it a while later, and it's like, oh no, you just arrange it like this. Duh. The last one that I did in the story mode, I am still stuck on. Every time I go back to it, I cannot see how you're meant to solve it. I can't even find anything on the internet that shows me how to solve it. So I guess that's it forever now. There is a puzzle mode separately as well with just random puzzles that you can just do yourself. But I wanted to complete the story mode one day. Alas, probably never going to happen. Planet Tiles. This was a good time. I remember this. I streamed this. I was sent a key for it. Again, thank you to the PR company that sent me the key. It's hard to describe. You're floating around a planet, trying to cover it with tiles, like terrain tiles, in a certain way without leaving any gaps and that sort of thing. It was really good. I haven't gone back to play it, not for any particular reason, but it's the sort of game that you would play for a while and then, it's not like a progression. I don't remember there being like kind of progression specifically. It was more have a go at this layout, have a go at this layout, which I really liked. It looked great. Really liked that. One day maybe I'll go back to it, but there are, as you have seen, quite a lot of games that I've said I'll go back to one day. And yet these at the top, these four at the top, probably the ones that will consume the most of my time in the coming year. Let's be honest. Pop and Twinbee. This was through the thing on the Switch that lets you play retro games. I can't remember what it's even called. The expansion pack, whatever it's called. And it's Switch Online that lets you play SNES games. This was actually a good time. This is a little shooter game, but it's super cute, ridiculously cute. The sound effects are ear-splitting at times, but it's just a really cute little shooter game. I really liked it. Power Wash! Oh, Power Wash, you have a place in my heart. You know you do. How can it not, with all those dopamine dings that you get from cleaning things, and then you clean a whole sweep of things in one go and it goes ding, 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 ding. The best feeling. They've recently changed this as well so that you can change the colour of the dirt highlight when you press the highlight all the remaining dirt button. You can change it to pretty much any colour you want now, which is a godsend because for a long time it was just orange. It would flash orange. And if the sun was hitting anything on that level, the sun was quite often bouncing off different surfaces in the level, it would be blinding and you couldn't see the difference between the sun bit and the highlighted dirt. They've changed that now, so you can have the dirt whatever colour you want. It makes it a lot better. I finished this game once on Xbox. I think I finished it on Xbox, but I also have it on Steam, so I'm playing through it again now. It does have a story, a really weirdly unnecessary and daft story, but it's good that they put it in. I appreciate that. But yeah, if you're playing this, you're playing for the satisfaction of the cleaning. And you know you are. And you know who you are already. And if you haven't tried this, please do, because it's really, really good. Also, there's loads of DLC for it. They put out seasonal levels, so there's Christmassy levels, Halloweeny levels. There's paid for DLC as well. I don't have any of that, but probably one day will. They're just constantly developing it, and I really like that as well. Round Out. This is one of the Paugi games. I can't remember if Paugi is meant to actually stand for something or if it's a company or what, but they do word games, basically. There's loads of them. I don't have all of them by any means on the Xbox. I have quite a few of them. Round Out, I can't even for the life of me remember which one Round Out is to tell you about it, but maybe editing me will put something on the screen to give us all a clue. I dip into these now and again. They just are what they are. They're word games. If you like word games, you'll probably like these. Preserve, I played the demo for. This is another tile laying game where you're building a preserve for animals. If you put so many different types of terrain together, a certain animal can appear on it. You're just trying to make your preserve a nice environment, really. It was a demo, as I say. It was very pleasant. It hasn't encouraged me enough to buy the game, so I can't really put it any higher. Colourful, whimsical, cute animals. I think you can interact with the animals. I think you can pet them. Maybe that does make it a good time. But for now, pleasant enough, I guess. Pure Crosswords is literally crosswords on the Switch. It is pleasant. It's not a good time. It's crosswords. If you're super into crosswords, then probably yes, it would be a good time. I just like it's something to do on a train that's quite easy. It's crosswords. So. Return to Grace. This is another Game Pass game that I did for Chivos. Primarily, it's not up here. It's a narrative game about a woman who crash lands on a planet. She's trying to find something, and there's something going on with AI. Was it pleasant? It was pleasant. It was pleasant enough, I suppose. I was debating putting it in there, not for me, but I did finish it. I got one of the endings. I could not be bothered to go back and get the others for the achievements. Oh my god, Ring Fit Adventure. I can tell you that I went on this the grand total of one time. Your classic Nintendo fitness peripheral, which you get with all good intentions, and then it ends up just sitting around waiting for you to use it. I do intend to use Ring Fit more. I will use Ring Fit more. I have said this in the past. I'm going to put it in a good time, which sounds bizarre given how little I used it, I know. But it is a really good way of getting you to exercise. My problem is the barrier of putting the relevant clothes on, making the space, and then actually doing it. Once I'm doing it, it's actually fine. I'll be like, I'll just do it for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. And it's that whole just get yourself started concept. And when I do that, I do end up playing it for longer, maybe 20 minutes, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you don't exercise like I don't most of the time, that is quite a lot. So imagine you lived in a flat. I don't live in a flat, but if you did and you knew people living below you, you don't want to be jogging on the spot because your footsteps would drive them insane. It has instead a silent mode, which you do basically by fast squatting, like bending your knees really fast, and that's what counts you as running instead of actually running on the spot. I think it does it for some of the different exercises as well, and it's things like that they've included that I really like about it. Yeah, the characters in it are a little bit annoying, the voices are kind of irritating, but the fact that there's a story, we're trying to defeat the big bad through the power of exercise, just makes me laugh every time. I really should put it on more, and I will vow to you here and now, live on the internet, as it were. Yes, I will play this more in 2025 so that by this time next year I can say to you, hey, guess what? I finished the story in Ring Fit. Maybe. Other rings that are perhaps less fun. The Ring of Pain. I'm a bit annoyed that the bubble has still left the creepy bird eye in the picture. This game is pleasant enough, I guess. I would have put it higher because I was quite addicted to it. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like I may have to put something on the screen. I'd played it myself a fair bit, and I'd never managed to beat it. It is sort of roguelike. You are trying to descend to the bottom level of a well, I assume? I don't actually know. To achieve a thing. I'd never managed to get to the bottom level before. I'd always died before then. One day I thought, I'm going to stream it. So I streamed it, and we managed to get ourselves to the bottom of the well, either by luck or chance or both or skill. I don't know. Didn't know what to expect at the end, and then the end happened. I vaguely remember you have to make a choice because I'd never got that far. I had to Google it live there and then, like, I need to know what the correct choice is here because I'm possibly never going to get here again. Whatever happened, happened. I didn't beat it. I failed at whatever that was after hanging on for a really long time as well with minimal health. I remember the disappointment in it, which is what's maybe put it down to pleasant rather than a good time. It did used to be a good time, the trying to get there and like, oh, I'll have another go. Then when I did get to the bottom and all that happened, I was kind of like, oh. I looked up what would have happened if I'd won that. And it was something even harder. If the reward for beating it is playing more that's harder. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe it's not for me. Wow, actual, genuine, not sure. No, I'm going to leave it in pleasant enough because I did have a good time with it until that point. Rolling Hills. Make sushi, make friends. This game is so weird. This is another Game Pass game. You are a little robot who turns up in a town. You're a sushi chef, because of course, and you take over the happens to be vacant sushi shop. The game alternates between you working in the sushi shop, making orders, delivering orders to the right customers quickly enough so they don't get angry, all that kind of stuff. And then it becomes not an RPG by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a story of trying to rebuild the town's prosperity through all these different quests. You're also decorating the restaurant. It's weird. It's a very rapid cycle between working in the restaurant, doing the other stuff, working in the restaurant, doing the other stuff. And because it's such a short loop, you do feel very obliged to, oh, yeah, I'll just do another one, see if we can get enough money to buy the thing from the guy. It hooks you in like that. And I've played quite a lot of this, and I don't think I'm still anywhere near finishing it. It's bright and colourful and happy, and that's quite nice. Sometimes that's just what you want, right? Rusty's Retirement. Is this a game? I don't know if this is a game. It is a game because you do have control. Yeah, I'm going to put good time. I only very, very recently came to this. I'd never heard of it. Rusty is a character from Haiku the Robot, which I am aware of because I've seen a couple of friends stream it separately. one of whom has got a haiku in the game as a backer. Rusty is a character from that who then has his own game, which is a kind of idle sim game, which sits on your desktop while you're doing other stuff. You can interact with it and you tell them what to plant where and you place the buildings, but then they all get on with tending the farm by themselves. Once you've got it set up, there kind of isn't a game anymore. They're there keeping you company, I guess, just idly doing their thing down the side or across the bottom of the screen. You can Twitch integrate this, which I do find quite an interesting concept and I would like to try, but I don't know what you would be doing as the streamer while that was going on by itself. You need to do something that wouldn't be competing with it attention-wise. Yeah. Your Twitch viewers become little workers on the farm, which I think is really cute. Will I try that one day? Maybe. If I ever do any craft streaming again, potentially, that might be something to have going on the screen. When you first start it and you start a new farm, it's very, very, oh my God, we need to get more things sold, we need to get more things planted, come on, we need to unlock the carrots, all this sort of, it's not stress, but it's mild put upon yourself type stress. It's very cute and it's really cheap as well. And it does sort of weirdly, I work from home alone. It is weirdly nice to just have something going on in the corner of your screen. Little people keeping you company. It's very strange. Is that bad? That's quite bad, isn't it? Okay, we're getting there. We're in the home stretch. There's a row and a bit of bubbles on my screen. If you're still with me here, thank you very much. It's much appreciated. I have no idea how interesting this is to anybody else, but I know there are probably at least 3 or 4 of you who might watch this out of kindliness and friendship. Thanks very much for that. Next up, we have Sea of Stars, which is a good time. Sea of Stars is a pixel-style RPG in the style of the old sort of SNES era. It's a long game, and I will admit that I played this with Wiimote because, oh my God, some of the battles just took forever. I was trying to play this to stay ahead of a friend who was streaming it because I didn't want to see spoilers on that stream because I was playing it myself. So I needed to keep ahead, which meant having very, very, very fast battles, as in one-hit killing things. So yeah, I did Wiimote it, which didn't detract from the story or anything like that. It just speeded it up because otherwise I'd have been there for like 5 times as long. I never would have kept ahead. It's a good enough story. I think it's perhaps outstays its welcome a little bit. It drags on a little bit. I liked the twist that came. I didn't see that coming. Perhaps I'm just dense, I don't know. I liked the weird kind of the thing that you do at the end, which is very unexpected and odd. Can't say anymore. I love the music. I listen to the music still to this day, just on Amazon Music. It's made by the same people who made The Messenger. This is kind of a prequel to The Messenger, but a completely different type of game. So a lot of the tunes reference those tunes. The places are the same. I've not played The Messenger, but again, I've seen someone stream it, so I sort of felt familiar with it. The 2 main characters are kind of bland and forgettable. The other characters are the more interesting ones, but I feel like that's maybe just generic RPG main character vibes, perhaps. Link isn't exactly the most charismatic individual, is he? Let's be honest. Sorry. It was a good time. It was a good time. Colourful world, really interesting, nice to look at, nice to listen to. Oh my good God, Skyrim. Yeah, Skyrim. Have you heard of this one? It's a little known game that everybody owns, whether they even own a computer or a console. They just don't know that they own it somehow. It's somewhere, it's in there. I have started Skyrim a few times. I've started on various platforms. This time, I was playing it on my Switch, believe it or not, which is weird because you would think that if I was going to jump back into it and try and make a bit of progress with it, maybe I would want to do that for some sort of achievements or validation or recognition. No, I played it on the Switch, which has none of those things. I was back in a save file that I'd started forever ago, didn't remember anything about, couldn't remember the controls. I think what it was is having watched someone stream Oblivion, the game prior to this one, so much for for a decent span of time, it made me think, I should think about Skyrim, which is like this game, but looks better. And I went back to Skyrim, and it did indeed look better. I think maybe the other times that I'd tried it, I kind of just wasn't gamer enough, if you see what I mean. I tried it too early on in coming back to gaming, and I can't do it, I can't find my way, I can't do it, I can't remember the buttons, I can't do it. Now I've got a lot more experience under my belt in different types of things. Going back to this now feels not the same as playing Assassin's Creed Origins / Odyssey, but it has that similar, okay, so I'll just do this, get this marker, go and do the thing, come back, sell this, swap that, upskill this tree node, blah, 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 blah. You know how Skyrim works. I played it quite intensely for, again, a couple of weeks, a bit like I did with Animal Crossing. Had a really good time with it. I leveled up loads. It's quite a lot of stuff. I'm a proper Thieves Guild thief now, for example, which I'd never managed before. I'm getting much better at lockpicking and pickpocketing and all that good stuff. It's not something I reach for over other things, which is why it's in a good time and not has a place in my heart. But yeah, I do still like it. One day maybe I'll finish it. I mean, I've seen the end. I've seen somebody finish it, so I don't really need to. Maybe one day I will anyway. I mean, I probably won't because other games will come out in the meantime. So yeah, I almost certainly won't. But I'll have a good time pottering around being a thief. Smushy Come Home. I think I got in a bundle of games. I'm going to put it in Pleasant Enough. It is pleasant. You are a mushroom, you get swept away from where you live, you have to try and find your way back through puzzle platforming, collecting things, and solving construction-y type puzzles. It's pleasant. Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions isn't really a game, but I'm putting it in here. I kind of want to put it up here. I'm going to put it there for now, and then I'll talk about it and see if I talk myself out of it. It's basically a kind of co-working game. The lo-fi sessions is because there's lo-fi music tracks in it that will play while you do this. The game element of it is, I think, that your on-screen character who you customize however you want, you customize the room that you're in. You can set the time, so say it's afternoon, it's raining outside, and I am sat on the bed and I am reading. She moves to the location and she's doing the activity. Certain combinations of activities and conditions, like weather conditions, etc., sound effects, attract spirits. Once you attract the spirit, it becomes like a pet. You can have it sat next to you while you're doing whatever activity it is that you're doing. It's very cute. There is no gameplay. You're not playing a game. You're just finding the optimal conditions to attract the spirits. Once you've collected all the spirits, I think they're going to be adding more. They do keep updating this game. It's to put on while you work, and I do this. I put this on while I work, so it's playing lo-fi at me. My on-screen avatar is sat at her desk. I have her typing because it inspires me to type and do work as well. And it is quite good for that. It is almost like a type of body doubling. Okay, we're working now, right? Okay, cool, right. There's a Pomodoro timer in it. There's a to-do list that you can put in it. There's a journal you can write in it. I haven't done any of that. I tend to just have it on for the vibes, but it is really good. You can see the word winter on that bubble. They released a Halloween update. They released a winter update, which added a whole new raft of cosmetic items. You don't pay for any of the cosmetics. You buy them with the in-game currency, which you get by sitting there having it running, basically. So it doesn't cost you anything after you've bought it. I think it does actually have a place in my heart. Not as big a place as the other three that are in there, but yet it genuinely does help me focus and concentrate. It's like, this is work mode now, which, you know, I'm really grateful for, because often it is hard to focus on work when you work from home on your own and there's like a million things around you to distract you. So yeah, it does have a place in my heart. Spirit Hunters Infinite Void. This is a good time. This is basically Vampire Survivors with a different art. A different art and a different theme. They're bullet heavens, aren't they? Vampire Survivors. Have I got that right? Am I down with the kids? I'm not sure. Yeah, you have to survive for a certain amount of time while hordes of enemies attack you, and by leveling up your powers and stuff. I'm quite into these now since discovering Vampire Survivors. I've got a couple more that I haven't started yet because I feel like I should probably try and come somewhere close to finishing at least one of them, ones that I've started before I start a new one. Whether that will happen or I'll just get bored of them and then I'll start a new one anyway, who knows? I've started Vampire Survivors like 3 different times. Yeah, they get the hooks into you, don't they? They really do. Spirit of the North. This is pleasant enough. I was playing this because it was about to leave Game Pass and I figured I could get some Chivos out of it. I didn't do it only for the Chivos though. I did it because it's a game with a cute fox in it. It's set in a lovely sort of Nordic, Arctic environment. You're exploring. There's some puzzle solving, puzzle platforming, that kind of thing. It's pleasant. It's pleasant. I can't say it was a good time because there was a bit of jank. There were some points where he got stuck in the scenery and things like that, and the jumping didn't quite And normally I would blame myself if the jumping didn't go right, but this was definitely not my fault. I didn't finish the story before it left Game Pass, and although I could just buy it and carry it on, I don't think I would ever play it again after that, so I'll probably not. It may well come back. Sometimes things come back to Game Pass. If it does, I'll pick it up and finish it. Oh god, SpongeBob SquarePants Cosmic Shake. I can't see the full title to remind myself what it is. This is on the PS4. This is another one that's in PS Plus that I thought, oh, I'll try that because I've got PS Plus now. I'm going to put it in not for me. I didn't grow up with SpongeBob. I was already way an adult before SpongeBob came out. And although I know adults can like it, I have no nostalgia for it, no attachment to it. I don't really get it. So why did I play this? You're probably wondering. Well, I thought there might be some trophies in it for me. Yeah, we're on to trophies now instead of achievements. They're the same thing. And there were. I did get some out of it. It was fun initially. I like the running around and collecting. Can't remember what you were collecting in that. Orbs, something like that. You run around, you do this, you do that, you do that. There was a bit with a sort of a whole automated. You're riding a seahorse or a horse of some kind. You're riding something along a pre-laid out track, and you have to jump and collect things. It was fun, and then I got to a sideways auto scroller, and you had to avoid getting stuck or killed or squashed. Died a few times on that. Got annoyed with it. Turned it off. Put it back on again a bit later. Finished that level, but then I'd lost the will to really carry on with it. It looks really smooth. The animation is really nice, but like I say, because I've got no attachment to the characters whatsoever, I don't feel any need, or I don't want to spend any more time with it, really. Sorry, SpongeBob fans. Oh, my beloved! Okay, you go in my Hall of Fame. Stardew Valley, obviously. I don't stream it much anymore. I started out pretty much streaming Stardew Valley when I started on Twitch. It was my comfy game. It still is a comfy game, and I've started it on, again, various platforms. I think I own it on all the platforms, except Xbox, which is through Game Pass. But I paid to own it on all the other platforms. I've got farms all over the place. I've done some multiplayer farming with a friend, which was fun and nice and very chill. Never finished it. I've never 100%ed it. I have completed the community centre. Whether that was legitimately or through other means, I can't remember. Sorry, I really peaked the microphone there. My embarrassed laugh really hit the red. But yeah, I love playing this with mods on it. I know the grind is part of the reason for playing it, but when you've started it a few times, you kind of like, oh, I can't be arsed with this. Also, I despise the fishing. The fishing can literally get into a bin, which is set on fire and then thrown in the sea. That's what I feel about the fishing. Hate it. And so I won't do it. So if I'm going to ever complete a community centre and I'm playing legitimately without mods, I have to find the fish in the bins or get them from the trader. Or find them just through some other means. That's how much I hate it. I simply won't do it. I've not streamed it for ages. I was going to get back into streaming it in 2024, and just something else got in the way. Stardew streams always bring in a lot of people for some reason. I don't know why. People just love it, and they love hanging out around it. So, if I was concerned about metrics and stuff, I probably should do only Stardew streams, but nah, that's not me. I'm not a metrics kind of girly. God, I said girly. I can't believe I said girly. Sorry. Stardew will always have a really special place in my heart, which you would think makes it have a place in my heart category, but it's above that. It's done too much for me and meant too much to me to drop down from the top slot, I think. Okay, we're on to the final row. I hope you're happy. I'm happy. My voice is happy. Street Fighter 6. What is this game? This is a good time. It is a good time. It's so stupid. It's ridiculously stupid. Street Fighter. We know what Street Fighter is, right? It's two characters fighting. That's Street Fighter, right? This is that, but also, if you ignore that and put a really silly kind of Yakuza-style RPG into it as well, that's the part of it that I love. Running around the city, doing the quests, fighting random people to build up my experience, getting new gear, customizing the character, all of that stuff. Meeting people. We met Chun-Li, we met Blanca. I streamed this and it was just like the daftest stream, honestly. I don't go back in it and play it very often because, like I say, other things get in the way. Life gets in the way. I read a lot. The book version of this, you'll see how much I read and you'll see, maybe this is why she doesn't finish so many games. I really liked this, and I should get back to it, and one day I probably will. When? Who can say? Summer House. You should have been for me. You were not for me. I was sent a copy of this as well, which makes it feel all the worse, as I feel really ungrateful for it. You build houses, but only on a flat plane by placing objects. But the objects don't really have any kind of relation to each other. They don't click together or anything like that, unless it's changed since it came out. The beautiful houses that you see in the trailers and the artwork are obviously done with people that have really got used to the mechanics and spent ages doing it. You can't really achieve that out of the box. I was finding the controls were difficult and fiddly, and although it looks really nice and you can change the lighting and the seasons to see how your construction would look, that was really nice. But what I'd made just wasn't that nice because I couldn't make it how I wanted it to be, how I could see it in my head. I'm really sorry to people who sent it to me, but it was such a disappointment. Super Mario Kart, but not the one you're thinking of. This is the old SNES SNES one, which I have fond memories of playing with my brother. My brother is about 6 years younger than me. When we were kids, I had a Mega Drive and he had a SNES. And on that SNES, he had Mario Kart. And my God, did we put hours of our childhood into that game. They didn't do kind of like your year unwrapped things back in the 80s, 80s and 90s. But if they had have, it would have shown this quite a lot. I love this game and played it. I don't even know what made me think to do it. Had to go on it through the Switch Online thing again that lets you play retro stuff. And oh, it was so cute. All the tunes, the nostalgia, remembering to hop around certain corners, remembering where the shortcuts were and stuff. It was just a good time. It was such a good time. I can't say it has a place in my heart, even though it does have that nostalgia value. But definitely a good time. Super Mario Odyssey. I'm not even going to try and do a proper Mario impression because I really can't. I am not good at this game, I should point out. I've not finished it because I don't have the skill to do so. What I have been able to do with it, it is a good time. It's fun, it's vibrant, it's bright, it's lively, it's colourful, it's cute. There's shopping, outfits, collecting moons. Is fun. It is good. It is fun. Super Mario Wonder, the other one, the newer one. This is also a good time. It's mental. It's absolutely what? But it is a good time. Again, not finished it. I can't remember how far into it I am. I've done a good couple of the kingdoms. Are they kingdoms in that? Map areas? You know what I mean. I prefer the 2D side-scrolling platforming. I'm not great at 3D platforming. I don't seem to be able to judge depth very well. Because I just jump over things or into holes, whereas at least if it's 2D, I only have that to worry about. So out of the two, although the story in Odyssey is better, I think the mechanics of Wonder suit me better. I like the badges that can help you out if you need assistance, and the fact that there are characters that can't die if you really, really need assistance. And yeah, it's a good time. Well, one day I should finish it. One day I probably should finish it. Tearaway Unfolded. This is a PlayStation game. I think it's only a PlayStation game as well, because the whole point of it was that when it came out, you interacted with it using the controller, the haptic touchpad on the controller, so it doesn't work on other platforms. Again, from PS Plus, I stuck this on one day thinking, this looks cute, maybe I'll be able to finish it. I played it the whole afternoon, possibly even into the evening, and I thought I had... Naive child that I am. I thought that I'd finished it because we got to a point where it seemed very kind of end of story. And then I think we got fired out of a cannon or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. We got fired into an entirely new location. And it was apparent that no, we had not finished. There was a whole load more to do. And I'll be honest, I haven't put it back on since then. Don't know why, because I did have a really good time with it. I really enjoyed it. You're made of paper. The world is made of paper, you unfurl bits of paper. It's a really neat concept and everything, and it is very enjoyable. It's just sometimes platformy things, I don't feel compelled to go back and carry on. I don't feel the need to actually finish, which is kind of sad. I would like to finish more, but I doubt my own skill a lot of the time, and I know that I kind of struggled with X, but there's only going to be more of that coming, so, you know, I might as well give up on it. Which is really bad, and I shouldn't do that, but I do. Maybe this will be the year that I try to work on that. Tetris 99. Tetris 99 is a good time. I think we can all agree. Yeah, I mean, it's Tetris, isn't it? Against other people. I've never won. I might have got top 10, but I've never won. I'm not good enough at it to do that. And there are people who obviously been playing it solidly since it came out who are just like pro level. But yeah, it's always good when my experience level number is on the results screen and it's much lower than people who are far below me on the same results screen. So people who are better at it, who've played it more and got to a higher level, did worse than I did. That's always a really good motivation boost. If you need a motivation boost for your day, go on Tetris 99, play until you win well enough to be like, oh my god, I beat all of these people who are really high level. Go me. And then you can carry on with your day feeling much better about yourself, which is always nice. The big con, this is what I'm doing for Chivos, but it is also a good time. And I promise I'm not just putting these in here because there's no space. Adventure Story, playing it through Game Pass. I am getting it for Chivos, but it is also a good time as well. The Crimson Diamond, one I was sent. I'm going to put it in Pleasant Enough. I was sent the key for this. It's a text adventure game, which I love, and I do love, and I did love that concept of it. It was just a bit pernickety in some elements about you didn't type it quite how I wanted it. And I was like, but I did type it in a way that made sense, so why have you not let me have that? And moments like that kind of soured it for me a little bit, but yeah. Thronefall, also a good time. Tower defense, but done in a different way to the Plants vs. Zombies style of tower defense. I'm yet to beat this. I keep getting stuck on certain levels and then I'll go back and be able to do them. It's sort of addictive. It's got a really nice art style as well and nice music. It's just a good time. Tiny Lands is a kind of spot the difference game, which I don't play many of. I like a hidden object game. These are spot the differences, but it's not great. You have two pictures side by side. You can rotate them, zoom in and out, and you're trying to spot 5 differences between these two little diorama scenes. But they're kind of, and much as I should like it, I don't think it's for me. Tunic, difficult one. This I played through Tunic on the Xbox Game Pass, but the PC version of it, so I could Wiimote it because, or did I Wiimote it? No, I think I just used the assist features that it has within it. You can make yourself invincible in it if you need to. Tunic is a good time. It's cute, it's detailed, it's a really clever concept all put together. I mean, enough has been said about Tunic on the internet. I don't think I really need to go on, do I? I'm playing through it on PS4 kind of slowly. This is one of the PS Plus basic tier freebie games that made me continue with having PS Plus because I wanted to play it again. Turbo Golf Racing is also a good time. I debated it because I'm not very good on it. But it kind of doesn't matter. If you're playing it with other people, it's not competitive. It's just that you're all doing the thing at the same time, like golf with your friends, really. But you're not really competing on score that much, at least from my perspective, I wasn't. It's Rocket League, but if it was golf. Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. I started this and haven't gone back to it, I'll be honest with you. As such, I'm going to say it's not for me, because if it was, I played the first one, Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, and it was cute, and I liked it. The second one has different mechanics, and I played the start of it and I haven't been back, which kind of implies to me that I wasn't enamoured with it that much. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know. Unpacking has a place in my heart because I've played it. This is the 3rd time I think I played it on PlayStation. Again, it was in PS Plus. I'd played it on Xbox and Steam. Have I played it on Steam? Maybe I haven't. Maybe there's another way I can play it. Maybe it's the 2nd time. It's sorting stuff out, tidying, organising, putting things in places. It's got nice music. It's got a nice story. It looks pretty. I feel like we all know what unpacking is by now, right? Vampire Survivors, or Vampire Survivors, to you mere mortals. I feel like it does have a place in my heart, you know. I think about it quite often. I've started it on Steam and Xbox separately. I've not finished it in as much as you can finish it on either. But I just like going in and messing around. It's just a good fun time, isn't it? Unlocking things. There's codes that you can use to unlock things. That you can play as a tree, you can play as a dog. It's all a bit crazy, but it's all great fun. It's the game that got me, much like Hades made me realise how I like roguelikes. And that Vampire Survivors made me realise that I actually like this style, the bullet heaven kind of genre, and to try others in that same genre. So yeah, I'm grateful to it for that. Venba, I'm going to put in Pleasant Enough because I actually played it and finished it last year, and then this year I went back in to just mop up some achievements. Oh, actually, so I should probably put it in just for the achievements. Even though I enjoyed it when I did play it through, this time I was only doing it for the achievements. No shade on Vember. It's a great game. It's really sweet, but it was just about the achievements. Virginia, point and click, narrative story, odd looking art, bit X-Filesy. I wanted to really like it, and I just kind of didn't. I played through it all, and I can't remember if I got all the achievements or just some of them, but yeah, I played through it and I just felt kind of cold and a bit lacking towards the end. It didn't really mean much to me, which is a shame because it's a good story, it's well written. It just didn't really float my boat, I suppose you could say. We love Katamari, Reroll plus Royal Reverie. Because why have one name when 8,000 will do? This is not for me. I mean, I want to like this. I streamed one of these. I think it was Katamari Damacy ages ago. I struggle a little bit with the controls, and this came to Game Pass, this other version, and it turns out I still struggle with the controls. Started it and messed around in it a bit, and then it's kind of like, yeah, I'm not really having that much fun. I can see the appeal of it, but it's not for me. Finally, last but by no means least, Wilmot Works It Out, which is a good time. This is a puzzle game which I was gifted for Christmas a couple of weeks ago. Streamed it, played it off stream, and then streamed it again and finished it. Possibly one of the quickest turnaround times between owning and finishing a game I've ever achieved. It's good. It's pushing jigsaw puzzle pieces around to make up the jigsaws. And there's a sort of story, but it didn't really need to be there. It could have just been the puzzles. But it's very cute. It's nice and bright, and it's a cheerful time. A good time, you might say. So here's my completed tier ranked list. I've never done one of these before, and I'm really glad to have done it. I kind of surprised myself, I think, with some of them. I wish this would show me the full layer of these, but here we are. I'm pleased that there was so much up here. I had fully expected there to be more that I only did for the Chivos, because I felt like I remembered there being more than that, but a lot of these I did do for the Chivos, but I happen to enjoy them as well. Obviously a bonus and kind of why you want to play games anyway. There are 3 rows of bubbles in this yellow section, aren't there? So there are 3 in here and there are 3 in here, which is, I think, a good balance. There's not so much that was, not for me, which I guess confirms that I tend to pick things that I'm going to enjoy, or I've been lucky when I've surprised myself with things that I've turned out to enjoy. Not surprised about this. Very surprised that I think Infinity Nick is probably the biggest surprise of the whole board for me. Like I say, I only discovered this a week ago. I had perceptions of what it was. It started creeping into my YouTube feed. The things you need to know about Infinity Nicky, and I was like, oh my god, but it's all reliant on loot boxes and paying for stuff. Why would anyone play that? Something, I can't remember even what it was, just made me think like, I wonder if it would run on my laptop. I figured it would run on my PC, but if it runs on my laptop as well, then I'd be more inclined to play it and cross-save between the two. I installed it, opened it up, and it just looked so good. Even on the laptop, which is technically not as powerful as my PC. I don't think it might actually be more. It's newer than my PC, so it might be more powerful. Who knows? But it looked just stunning. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I was like, wow, this is really good. I bet the gameplay's a bit lacking though. And then I got hooked into it. And yes, there are a million different menus and things to interface through, but it's pretty good at telling you when you need to look at them. It puts a red dot on anything that's got something you can claim or something you can turn in or something you can do. Something you need to be aware of. It's not, doesn't just leave you hanging to fend for yourself. It helps you. The whole fact that it doesn't push the gacha mechanic in your face, it doesn't constantly pop up with things going like, oh hey, this is only going to be around for 2 more days. It does have things like that. There's a screen where it says this outfit, whatever, is only available for 19 more days. But only if you go to look at that screen. If you don't, then you wouldn't even know it was part of the game. And I think that's really good. I think it's probably very clever of them to do that, to not piss people off, basically, by shoving things in their face, pop-up ads and stuff. I would be amazed if this ran on mobile. It's supposed to run on mobile. I daren't try it, because if I try it, then I really might lose all my productivity, such as it is. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing more of it. I think there's 7 or 8 chapters at the minute, and I don't know how long they intend to keep it going. One day it'll probably shut down, but until that day I'll probably still potter about in it, picking out earrings that look nice with that hairstyle, because I can't be asked to do that stuff in real life. Being able to do it in a game, is just really nice and really relaxing, and kind of probably a side of me that I didn't really realize needed, not maybe not needed, a side of me that was there that I could indulge as a way of comfy time. I don't want to say it's self-care. I don't think it's self-care, but it is doing something that I enjoy, which is relaxing and comfy and all that stuff. So in a way, it kind of is self-care. But also Hades is self-care because I love Hades. I think, what can you say? I don't think there's anything much else that I can really wrap up here. I'm just really pleased that there are so many ranked higher up. I never actually said how many there were. There are 106 games in this list. Yeah, I know. We've been here a long time. We might even be approaching 2026 now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've watched all the way to the end, if you have, please consider subscribing and liking. Maybe drop a little comment in the comments down below, as the YouTubers say. Were any of these your favourites of the year last year? Are any of them ones that you tried? Don't argue with me, because I don't do confrontation and arguments. If there's anything confrontational or argumentative in the comments, I will simply ignore it. But is there anything in here that you particularly enjoyed, particularly didn't enjoy? Is there anything that you've played that was a surprise to you too? I will see you in another video, hopefully very soon, because I do want to do more YouTube this year. But if not, have yourself a wonderful day and a wonderful 2025. Bye for now.